Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Promising signs today out of an early coronavirus vaccine trial in Britain. Scientists at Oxford University say their vaccine prompted an immune response in hundreds of people who were injected. Researchers began testing in April on 1,000 people. Half of them received the experimental vaccine. A glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak landscape of soaring new infections in the United States. One of the most affected is Florida, which has reported at least 10,000 new cases today. Speaking over the disruption of protesters, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis didn't get into the numbers. Instead, he declared that Florida hospitals across the state can handle it.
Statewide, we have 25% of the hospital beds are available statewide, and almost 20% of the ICU beds are available. Here in Orange County, nearly 26% of adult hospital beds are available.
DeSantis is still planning to reopen schools in the fall. Today, the Florida Education Association moved to stop him. The group representing the state's teachers are suing, arguing that their health and that of their students will be jeopardized if they're forced to have in-person classes in the fall. President Trump says he's still focused on trying to include a payroll tax cut in the next coronavirus aid package passed by Congress. NPR's Aisha Roscoe reports that Trump also plans to restart White House briefings on the administration's response to the pandemic.
President Trump says payroll tax cuts are very important. At a meeting with Republican leaders, Trump said the White House is discussing the tax cuts and other potential measures with lawmakers.
It's a big saving for the people. It's a tremendous saving, and I think it's an incentive for companies to hire their workers back and to keep their workers. So payroll tax cut to me is very important. We're working on it.
Lawmakers are hoping to pass a new aid package before federal jobless benefits expire at the end of the month. Trump told reporters he also wants to hold briefings this week about progress on vaccines and treatments for the coronavirus. Aisha Roscoe, NPR News.
The U.S. House returned today from a 2-week recess to mourn one of its own. NPR's Susan Davis reports a moment of silence was observed today in honor of Congressman John Lewis, who passed away last week.
Lawmakers gathered to pay respect to Lewis, who was often called the conscience of the Congress. Members of the Georgia delegation led the tribute. Here's Democrat Sanford Bishop.
The world is a better place because John Lewis spent his life pursuing freedom, justice, opportunity, love, and peace for all of humanity.
And Republican Tom Graves.
I'm better off because of John Lewis. We are all better because of John Lewis. Our nation is so much better because of John Lewis.
Speaker Pelosi said plans for Lewis's services will be announced at a later date. Susan Davis, NPR News, Washington.
This is NPR News. The mayor of Chicago is rejecting the idea of President Trump ordering federal troops into the city to crack down on civil rights protesters deemed violent, as Trump had threatened to do in a number of cities in this country. Mayor Lori Lightfoot spoke out after Chicago endured more upheaval over the weekend involving gunshots and dozens of people killed or injured. Trump's also under criticism from Oregon's governor and the mayor of Portland, who alleged that the troopers escalated violence in their efforts to restore order in that city. Britain has suspended the extradition treaty with Hong Kong after China imposed a national security law there that threatens personal freedoms in the former British colony. NPR's Frank Langford has details from London.
The UK fears the new security law could allow someone to be extradited to Hong Kong, where the judicial system is based on British common law, but then sent to mainland China for trial, where the Communist Party controls the courts and the conviction rate is 99%. China's foreign ministry is responding by urging the UK to, quote, stop going further down the wrong path. Britain has been taking a much harder stance against an increasingly assertive China these days. Last week, the UK decided to ban Huawei, the Chinese telecom giant, from the development of 5G because of security concerns. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who had lobbied the UK to kick out Huawei, arrives here on Tuesday for talks where China will be high on the agenda. Frank Langford, NPR News, London.
The Nasdaq closes the day up 2.5%, ending at 10,767. The Dow closed up 8 at 26,680. This is NPR.